Alright, so I wanted to do this weird video regarding Al Gore and an interview with him that I can absolutely no longer find online anymore. But I can find it on YouTube, and I found this interview on YouTube first, back in 2006, like right when, I want to say it was right when An Inconvenient Truth came out, and look at his eyes there. It's really creepy. Now, at first, I didn't think anything of it necessarily, and I take all these reptilian alien videos with a grain of salt. Mostly because I know if you can Photoshop photos, you can do the same type of thing with videos, and you can make anybody's eyes look any way you want, and so on and so forth. However, I went to, after looking at this interview on YouTube, I actually went to CNN.com just to see how his eye looked in the actual interview on CNN.com. And I remember that exact background and a weird statue behind him right there that's sort of on his left hand. Well, as you're looking at the computer screen, I guess it's your right hand side. And I don't know, just the statue looked kind of weird and alien to me as well. But in any case, I remember he was being interviewed by Wolf Blitzer, and oh, look at that, it's so creepy. And I found it on CNN.com, and his eyes looked exactly like that. There was no doctoring. But, of course, surprise, surprise, you know, how many years later? 12 years later, I can't find hide nor hair of it on CNN.com or the internet. I've scoured it. But there are still vestiges of it here. Maybe it's Mandela effect. I don't know. But I just thought it was really interesting. This is from a YouTube video, Al Gore, blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, a lot of these other videos talk about that Al Gore is part of the agenda to make us believe in global warming, so on and so forth. I guess I never weighed in on global warming, but my dad is, he minored in, no, he was actually going to be a meteorologist in college, and then he went and majored in something completely different when he went off to grad school and became that. But he, as much of a liberal as he is, he never really believed in global warming, because he always thought, oh yeah, the earth is getting cooler, it's an ice age, so on and so forth. However, I think that doesn't negate the concern that we should have for the environment, which I'm sure most of you agree. You know, it's just our air, it's pollution, blah, blah, blah. But I heard this theory the other day, and if it's true that most of our rulers are part alien or part reptilian, then there's probably a reason why they, quote-unquote, allow pollution. And that is if their genetic makeup is different than ours, and maybe it doesn't affect them as much. That being said, it should still definitely be something we're concerned about, whether or not global warming exists. So that's the first part of my rant. The second part of my rant kind of has to do with the whole contrail phenomenon, and I didn't want to bring it up for a really long time because, and this is also in line with the whole pollution thing, I didn't want to bring it up for a while because I know it was a little bit of there was an element of controversy about it, like a few weeks ago. But, you know, this is not saying anything about anybody, it's just about saying what I think of chemtrails and contrails. And my basic stance on them is, I don't know. Because I don't. I've never, my problem is that no one has ever been able to tell me how they collect the samples from chemtrails. I just don't get it. I mean, do they go behind the actual plane spewing all this stuff out with a little urine sample cup and get it from there? Because you could get, you know, toxins and heavy metals and all that stuff from traffic. And this is actually a video I made a couple weeks ago when I didn't really want to post anything about chemtrails, but I'm going to air it here. Hopefully you guys can hear it. Oh, wait, hold on one second. Gotta go back. Amateurish gensploration.
This is just like V. It's the alien invasion! The V aliens are coming through chemtrails or contrails! Ah! Ah! be honest with you, especially this week or this month. But the question is, but I know I have to address it now because I'm focusing on it. The question is, do I believe in chemtrails? Not really sure, but to be honest with you, I'm actually more concerned with this. To me, this is like the crux of any kind of conspiracy regarding humanity. It's like we know and have known for years, and it's been scientifically proven for public consumption, that this shit right here coming out of most of these cars, and forgive me if any of them are hybrids or Priuses, is what's killing us, is causing cancer. It fuels and funds the medical industrial complex by giving people cancer, and then it fuels and funds the rich top 1% of people in the world through their oil consumption. Somebody obviously did kill the electric car, or any car that runs on anything else. The thorium car, for instance, supposedly that's a car, but it's also been debunked. I would need to research more on that. A car that runs on water, supposedly anything. And I'm more worried about this shit. And frankly, as a matter of fact, I was riding once with one of my friends, and he basically said that, I'm actually going to focus on this because it's much prettier, even though it's creepy. He basically said that, because I was smelling pollution, and I just moved to LA, and we were hanging out, and I said, oh God, I just worry what that pollution's going to do to me. Did you smell that? And he goes, really? It's what you can't smell, what you can't see, that's going to kill you the quickest. In other words, it's the most carcinogenic. So, anyway, that's my 2 cents worth, and peace out.
Okay, so that's essentially what I feel about that. I mean, it's just so, like, oh God, that's so creepy. You know, it's just, I don't know if you guys could hear. I'll include a link to it at the bottom. It just wasn't one of my better quality videos because I had the camera on the wrong angle. But to me, like, the big thing that I'm worried about more than anything, if chemtrails exist or not, like, I don't know. I don't know the full nature of them because, again, I can't imagine like a urine sample cup being dragged behind a plane, and then we know specifically and definitively that that's where it's coming from, because we have so many pollutants and toxins in our environment, and the elite are fine with it because I think they're a different genetic makeup. They either are a different genetic makeup and it's not going to affect them, or they have really good air filtration and really good water filters that we could never even hope to imagine, and it doesn't matter to them. I also heard another theory that that basically they want to leave this planet a wasteland because they're getting ready to lift off of it and leave it. So when they do, they just want to leave it a wasteland because they hate it or whatnot, because it's a prison planet, I guess. Whatever. Really creepy. But I don't know. I mean, this is all what I consider lore. I am no authority. Like, unless you were there, you don't know anything anyway. So I'm not an authority. But I find it kind of fascinating, if not creepy. I also have a whole other theory on why the X-Files is on too. Speaking of the V aliens and the X-Files. But in any case, I just see, oh, sorry, I didn't complete my thought about V and the X-Files. I have a whole other theory as to why they allowed the X-Files to be on TV. And real quickly, it's because I feel like we were starting to test more and more and more of our stuff, including black triangles, but the show The X-Files was sort of a red herring to distract us from that and put everything on aliens, when maybe our government was doing abductions and our government was testing flight modulators or whatnot. Regardless, irrespective of the fact that I do not necessarily know if I believe in chemtrails, let's please just not argue like so many people in the so-called truther community do.
I think you know where the front office is. You dick!
That's it. That's how I hear people in the truther community go. I think you know where the front office is. You dick! Anyway, I'm not a dick, please. I just have a different opinion. Although I wouldn't mind being Jeff Spicoli for a day. He looks way cool, surfing those tasty waves like he doesn't have a care in the world about all the mercury that's in the ocean and maybe now radiation since the 1980s. All right, one more for the road.
I think you know where the front office is. You dick! Take on.